Mr. DJ Rose, Verkeezy, and C's. Welcome you to the No More Black Tears podcast.
Black tears that's heaven sent. Barack the first black president. I love my black skin. I love walking in black excellence. Black power, let's represent. All black, that's evident. I'm sure MLK and Malcolm X both didn't die for the hell of it. Strap your seatbelt, go and sell our land. What makes you think that we would sell our land? We wouldn't sell our land. What makes you think that we would go ahead and try to sell out then? No more black tears, black on black kids. Love us as is, love with passion. Paying black bills, learning black skills, making black meals. Black is backing. Big shout out to Fred Hampton. I'm black and proud like I'm James Brown, but I ain't doing no acting. My people here from the motherland. This podcast now active.
No More Black Tears podcast. You know what I'm saying? We back for another Wednesday, another week. You know what I'm saying? How y'all boys doing so far? It's hump day.
We got a week before Thanksgiving, man. So it's good to get up before the holiday season, y'all.
It all happened in a week, and Thanksgiving is in a week. So let's get it.
So this week in sports, the NBA is in full effect. Man, Prize Pick is going crazy. They dropped 2 promos today with SGA for half a point, Steph for half a point. Monday night they had Jokic for half a point. You know, what's going on in your eyes from the NBA? There's been a couple of injuries early in the season, but what's your thoughts so far?
Man, Spurs, Grizzlies, man, even though Vic is out, De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes, closing out that game last night, man, I like what I saw. If they're playing this well, they came back and literally won the game, solidified it in the fourth quarter, man. They're playing this well without Vic. Imagine when he gets back. Hopefully he stays healthy the whole season. You know, this trio, especially the two, what I consider the core of that team right now. They're going to be the main leaders. But De'Aaron Fox, great addition, and Vic, man. Besides that, man, KD, man, Houston's been doing some decent things, man. I got something about KD later, and then somebody was back. We'll probably talk about it.
Yeah, Detroit basketball. They won 11 in a row. They beat the Hawks yesterday. They're looking good. Kate Cunningham, he's playing good except for that one game where he scored 40. I think he had like 42 on 43 shots in overtime. Like, that ain't good at all, but he still got the 40 piece. Like you said, like C said, LeBron James came back last night, and he is going into his 23rd season, which is the most of all time. He passed Vince Carter, who had the most seasons with 22. So he's playing his number 23. You know what I'm saying? The GOAT's number 23, and he was out for probably like maybe 11 games to start the season. He came back yesterday, had a double-double. Luka looking good. Deontay Ayton is coming into his role. He's looking good. AR-15 is looking good. So we'll see what the Lakers got going on. And also, I know you said something about the Grizzlies. I want to see what if the Grizzlies going to actually move Ja Morant, because it's always people keep talking about it in the background, but that'll be one of the dumbest things that they could do. But we'll see if they do it.
If they move him, what's the 3 teams you think he can go to and make an impact?
Miami. That's the only one I can think off the top of my head. Miami.
Yeah, it's just hard to move someone of that status and think about what that team would get back. Like, of course, the Bucks would do great with him, but it's like, what would that Bucks have to give up? Yeah, for me personally, man, it's SGA and the boys. Man, I think the Thunder only got 1 loss at the moment. They at top of the conference. They looking amazing. Jalen Williams hasn't even played, and we saw how good he was in the playoffs and the finals for them. Man, they just look so good. At this moment, it's hard for me not to see them repeating as champions, because it seems like a lot of the younger players have gotten better. Like SGA, if he hasn't gotten better, he's at the same level he was last year. Chet looks like he's gotten better. A lot of the other role players have gotten better. Like they're playing more cohesive together. To be honest, they look like the best team, like top to bottom this year in terms of just the way they play together and gel together. And we kind of saw it last year with how close they was off the court. So, the Thunder are going to be really scary if they stay healthy, especially when someone like Jalen Williams come back. And then you mentioned LeBron. Yeah, man, hey, LeBron came back and he looked pretty good for him to have all that time off. I mean, I did have him in prize picks and he fell like 2, points, rebounds, and assists shy of what I needed him to get. But still, I mean, for him to, get 26 points, rebounds, and assists, and after he's missed like what, about 8 games so far, 5 to 8 games, coming off of that injury he had, well, whatever, I think it was a calf injury, was it? But coming off of that, I feel like that's pretty good for him. I will say this. We've said on the pod multiple times what the league will look like when Steph, KD, and LeBron retire. I'm actually surprised. I was talking to my brother TDK. I'm surprised how little we talked about LeBron missing these games. Like 5, 7 years ago, it seemed like the world would have been coming down with LeBron missing this many games to start the season. But the NBA seems like it's in good hands. Like Vic is an amazing story. SGA, you talk about Cade Cunningham. Like it's a lot of young talent that's actually playing pretty well. And, Luka's doing his thing. Hey, man, LeBron, man, hey, after this season, play one more year so you can get that retirement tour because I feel like LeBron deserves a retirement tour for not what he's just done, for himself, but what he's done for the NBA. But I feel like, yeah, it's time, LeBron. You can walk away and, be a businessman and enjoy your family, man. Moving on to more athletics, though. So, in the world of college football, there was an incident between a South Carolina player and a police officer at the Texas A&M game. What is everyone's thoughts on that?
If it had been anywhere else besides the game, it could have got ugly real fast. We know how things are with just based off the topic last week, black men and the cops. I mean, hey, it really looked like they weren't really trying to bump into him, but who knows what was said? They literally just had footage and point fingers. I'm like, okay, when somebody gets to pointing and all that other BS starts happening, man, it gets kind of crazy. I'm surprised at how quick they took action on it. They literally suspended him or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to say he got fired, but I know he got suspended from the games and then also in trouble at his main station. So I mean, hey, just man, keep these motherfuckers away from each other. But pretty much during the game, like this shit shouldn't have happened in the first place.
I mean, I think it's just surprising that everybody's all in the uproar because the officer bumped into the players, but nobody says anything when they killed Negroes. But everybody's writing letters, everybody's upset, everybody got something to say with Twitter fingers and everything because he bumped into some football players. Football players ain't more important than other people. They people just like everybody else. Y'all upset because he bumped into them. But what about all the police when people get killed? Don't nobody ever say nothing? Don't nobody come out and say, "Oh, I'm gonna write a letter." Don't nobody say nothing. So man, I just find that part. I don't know if it's funny or what. I don't know what I find it, but I just find it's just. I think it's dumb. You know what I'm saying? That everybody's willing to stand up for these football players, but nobody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is sad, man, because it just shows that, when you're black in America, like we talked last week on the pod, they don't really care unless you can do something or contribute to white society. And I know me and MJ had this conversation about the black quarterback at Ole Miss. Hey, when you're an athlete, they love you when you're performing well for them. But once you start going against the grain, then that's when they don't care. So it was a crazy situation because the police officers are there to protect the players, not to get into it with the players. But they're people too. Like I'm pretty sure that police officer might be a fan of Texas A&M and might have felt like up in arms and happy because they just came back 27 down. Speaking of that comeback, that's actually one of the games that I actually had highlighted for last week in college football. I've been on Lenore Sellers from the start of the season till, most of the year. South Carolina is not going to make the playoffs, obviously, because they only got 3 wins. And he's not going to be in the running for Heisman because he's actually had a bad season, at least in my opinion. But he has had games against certain teams where I'm not going to say he looked good from start to finish. He showed things that I'm pretty sure scouts would be like, yo, we could draft him and do something with that talent that he has. And in this last game, for him to have 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, he made a couple throws. Unfortunately, he was 15 for 30, so you don't really like seeing that from a quarterback. But I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, he got to improve that accuracy. So that really is on par for, to be honest, how I felt about his accuracy. He showed the arm strength he has. I'm not gonna say he should be the first quarterback taken, but it'll be interesting to see where he goes in this draft, and if he goes somewhere where he can learn how to play the quarterback position the right way, and if they can mold him. But then I look at the other side of the ball, man. For Texas A&M, I remember when they started getting blown out. I just saw the box score. I'm like, man, that game over, man. Texas A&M had a good season. That's gonna really fuck them up. When I started seeing them come back, I started checking the box score, and I'm seeing the quarterback is snapping, Marcel Reed, and he finished the game with 439 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, but man, that's a lot of passing yards to have as an SEC quarterback. I don't know where he's at with the Heisman, contention, but he definitely probably needs to get some consideration for me because we talked about it last week. I don't know too many players that's going to have a moment. And even though South Carolina sucks, that's still an SEC opponent that you was down 27 on. I feel like that's more of a Heisman moment than some of this other shit I've seen this season, if you ask me.
Yeah, because I think he had most of those yards in the second half. And for Sellers to have that lead, that big of a lead, 27-point lead at halftime, and then not score again in the second half, that's ridiculous, man.
Oh yeah, I mean that's like I said. If you're a general manager, if you and me are general managers,
he can't be on my team.
If you're low on him, yet. That's what I'm saying. If you're low on him, if you're a general manager low on him, you're gonna look at that second half. But if you're a general manager just high on him, you're gonna look at that first half, and we'll see what goes from there. Another game.
Last time I checked, they played 2 halves.
No, they do. But you know how people is, you make excuses and allowances for people that you want, man.
Yeah, he gonna be Anthony Richardson AR.2.
Hey,
if he come out this year, he need to stay.
He probably will.
He need to stay.
I think he's more talented than him, but he do need to stay, in my opinion. But I feel like it's hard to make that decision when you got millions of dollars talking.
He's getting millions of dollars.
Yeah, but it's even more in the NFL. It's more.
Yeah, but it ain't as fun.
Nah. Some people finding that out now. Another game that I thought was great was Georgia Tech versus Boston College. I'm disappointed that Georgia Tech is not getting the respect they deserve because for them to only have 1 loss and for Miami to be ranked above them, I just don't really understand the logic behind that. I understand that maybe they feel like Miami has better wins, but Miami has some bad losses too with very bad quarterback play. Like if you ask me who's played better this season, Haynes or Beck,
I think
Haynes King has played better this year. So to me, that with 1 loss would make me want to rank them higher. Because Haynes King, man, 371 yards throwing, a touchdown, 53 yards rushing in this high-scoring game against Boston College, which, by the way, is the alma mater of the great Matty Ice. So shout out to him. But then I look at Boston College, man, I want to pay respect to their players, man. Their quarterback, Dylan Lonergan, had 362 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the running back had 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. That just shows that they were so balanced that's why they was able to score all them points. But I really am high on Georgia Tech. I feel like Georgia Tech is a complete team in the ACC. I think they're the best team in the ACC. I feel like they deserve more respect. I'm sad. I'm afraid for Georgia Tech because they're probably going to lose that game to Georgia, and I don't want that loss to stop them from making the 12-team playoff.
Well, if they can make it to their championship and win, then that Georgia loss won't hurt.
See, and that's the only thing I don't because remember last year we had this conversation about how the ACC does their championship. I don't know if that Georgia loss will keep them out of it because I want to say Miami is ranked higher than
It's
them.
all about the conference record.
Okay, so it's about the conference. Okay, I know Miami's ranked higher than them right now.
On the top 25.
On the
but
top.
in the ACC,
In the
it's,
ACC, Georgia
it's
Tech is
literally
ranked.
it's Georgia Tech, Virginia, and I want to say
So it's Virginia Tech, it's Georgia Tech,
Miami.
Virginia Tech, and then Miami.
Miami and
Not Virginia
Georgia.
Tech, which is right.
My bad, Virginia. So yeah, so I hope Georgia Tech makes the ACC championship game and has a legit chance of trying to actually make the college football playoffs. But those are the two games that I kind of kept up with this week that I was like, yo, those are interesting.
Yeah, man. So I got an upset. Not really. Nah, it's not actually not an upset. It potentially could have been an upset. USC, Iowa. Iowa was one of those. If you were in that conference, that old conference, Iowa and Iowa State, huge rivalry. Iowa was one of those teams that literally got in there and you probably would lose the game. USC down deficit 11 points in the fourth quarter. Come back. I mean, can't use the excuse it was raining, but they made a comeback. I'm liking what I see for them. They're definitely going to be in a bowl game, in the top. They should finish off in the top 15, 16, I'm not expecting major things, but I do like the team they have, quarterback and a couple of receivers on that squad. So I'm liking them.
Yeah, so I know the game we touched on last week, the Oklahoma Alabama game. That was a good game to watch. I was surprised Alabama didn't come back and win. Oklahoma, their defense stood tall and stopped them. And then the Georgia Texas game. That game was amazing to watch. Texas didn't do too much in the second half. Georgia pretty much beat up on them boys, but Georgia did look good. Their quarterback looked good. He had 5 touchdowns, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown.
Was that enough to put him in the Heisman consideration?
For me, it is because he's got numbers comparable to Simpson. So with Alabama, he got numbers comparable to him. He's only got 3 interceptions on the season.
I think he's been playing that well this year.
And I think he has like maybe 19 passing touchdowns, but then he has probably like maybe 4 or 5 rushing touchdowns.
So over 20 touchdowns total with only 3 interceptions.
Yeah, so I don't think he has numbers like Reed. I think Reed right now with Texas A&M, I think he might be in the front running. Well, not I ain't gonna say the front runner, but he had his moment last week. But the guys from Ohio State, they're probably at the top right now.
Yeah, that dude saying,
Saying and Smith.
Yes,
I think they're probably
at
I think they're probably at the top. But those were the games that I watched. Now Georgia's ranked number 4. They're finished with their conference schedule. They don't have to play another SEC team. They got Georgia Tech coming up the last game of the season, and then they got pretty much a cupcake this week. So they can still make the playoffs and make the 4th seed and have a bye and not have to play in the SEC championship game. So that would be pretty cool to happen. Only thing about that is we always see when teams have so much rest that it'd be like they have 2 byes. They have like a bye for the conference championship because they won't be in it. And also they have a bye in the first round of the playoffs.
So you mean like if they lose, let's say to Georgia Tech, they could potentially miss out the SEC championship and still make the playoffs?
No, they can win out and still miss the SEC
you mean they can just choose not to compete in the SEC championship?
No, they just won't make it.
Talking about who's like besides Texas A&M, who's the other team ahead of them in the SEC?
Alabama.
Alabama's still ahead of them even with that loss last week?
Yeah, because they only got 1 loss, but they beat Georgia. So they're ahead of Georgia.
Oh, man.
See how we were saying that gatekeeping stuff in the SEC is so stacked.
But that's like Bama's second loss this year.
Yeah, but it's their first in the SEC.
Who was their first loss to?
Florida State.
Oh, man, that's crazy. That's wild.
So they're still ahead of Georgia in the SEC polls, but behind them in the playoff rankings.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. That just shows how good the SEC been this year, man.
So Georgia can not make the SEC championship and still get that first round bye if they went out. So they need help to get into the SEC championship game. But I'd rather them not be in the SEC championship game and just get those 2 byes so the players can get some rest. But they always start out slow. So is that rest going to help them or hurt them in the playoffs? Can Kirby get them ready to play? Because he hasn't been doing a good job this year.
Yeah, that's up to Kirby, man. Kirby got to figure that out, man. I mean, as far as some games this week, man, the only game this week that I'm probably keeping my eye on is that Georgia Tech Pitt game, and that's only because Pitt's like 7-3, so it's a respectable team. Georgia Tech should win that game, but if Georgia Tech can win that game with some style points, I feel like that will help the committee feel like, because I feel like part of the issue with Georgia Tech is they win a lot of close games. And the committee probably just feels like they don't necessarily believe that Georgia Tech record is the way is what it is. They probably view Georgia Tech the way they view Indiana last season. So like if Georgia Tech can, be dominant against Pitt, that might boost them up in the college football rankings.
I think that's going to be one of those nail biters right there with Pitt, because looking at them from last week, 7-3 in their conference, man. Pitt's probably one of the ones you want to look out for with them.
Yeah, now Pitt's definitely a good team, man. But if Georgia Tech can win that game decisively, like I said, that would definitely help them. And Haynes King, I feel like he deserves consideration for the Heisman too, because who thought that Georgia Tech would be where it's at right now?
People, man. Speaking of the SEC, going back to the SEC, coming off a win, Oklahoma versus Mizzou. Mizzou's mid. They're mid, but just where Oklahoma's at, they could win, they could lose it. It's not for them to make it. I don't think this game is gonna matter as much as other games, but it's one they definitely need to win to have that trajectory. Mizzou's kind of on that. Their season's in kind of flipping on the middle, but them winning this game definitely messes up the rankings in the SEC. Another one I got is one I spoke of again. So matchup I've been waiting on, two former Pac-12, Pac-10 teams. I guess you used to be able to call it a rivalry, but USC, Oregon. Oregon, we're talking number 15. USC, number 7, Oregon. Oregon's one of them. They're going to make the playoffs. Obviously, we all know that. It's just they're now in separate conferences. It's where is USC going to come into their conference now? So I feel like that's one of the best matchups this week, because there's a lot of cupcake games. It's like, what is Georgia? I think Georgia's playing with Charlotte.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of games where people are playing lower tier teams, or just smaller schools. And then my last one, it's a school I got to shout out to VA, man. ODU, that's Old Dominion University, is taking on Georgia Tech, or Georgia Southern, my bad. I feel like that's a good matchup. They're doing all right this year. I just think if they're going to upset anybody, they need to do this week. They are third behind James Madison, so in their conference. So I'm looking forward to that game.
I think the James Madison game, Washington State, that's going to be I'm not sure if it's going to be a good game, but James Madison needs to win out and win the Sun Belt. If they win the Sun Belt, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be one of the teams that makes the playoffs, and it's going to be a surprise to everybody. Like, y'all let these guys in the playoffs?
Wait, time out. Ain't they in the same conference as Georgia Tech?
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern?
Yeah.
So, can Georgia Southern win the conference and make the playoffs?
No, because it's the best. We got 4 of the. You got the SEC, Big Ten. Yeah, so you got them, and then the rest of the conferences is
whoever
wins their championship and has the best record.
Oh, okay, I see. So Georgia Tech, if they automatic win, they wouldn't have damn, that sucks. Can you imagine a playoffs with Georgia Tech, Georgia Southern, and Georgia? That would have been dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been dope. But yeah, but it has to be whoever has the best record out of their conferences. That last spot, they're going to get in there, and they'll probably be ranked number maybe 12, because depending on where they're ranked at but they'll get that automatic bid into the playoffs.
I think that's still dope. They're giving them lower conferences a chance. I still like that.
Well, all of them are lower conferences though.
I mean, Sun Belt, like that's still
that's one. That's yeah. But I'm talking about. But it's like, so they still got the conferences that's have teams like
What about the Mountain West Conference?
they have that.
That's part of this conversation too.
Yeah,
So it's Boise State, I think.
yeah, the MEAC and all those, but and also
Yeah, them non-power
and
conferences.
and the Big 12 or the Pac-12, they're kind of considered in that
Oh,
group
really?
too.
Oh, so they didn't drop them down basically.
Yeah, because it's got the SEC, the ACC,
Big Ten,
Big Ten, and there's only one other one. I want to say it's probably the Big 12.
Yeah, it probably is the Big 12.
I would say so because the Pac-12 kind of.
Yeah, so now the winner of the Pac-12 conference, if they don't have a better record than James Madison and they're winner of the Sun Belt Conference, then James Madison go to get that spot.
That's what's up, Dan. That's dope. Was there any more games you had, Jose?
No.
Moving on to the NFL, to the pros. It's crazy because we started off Weekend Sports this year talking about Jalen Carter spitting on Dak. And now we're, more than halfway through the NFL season, we had another spitting incident, which is crazy to think. Jamar Chase, all-pro receiver, spit on Jalen Ramsey's during the Bengals-Steelers game. Now, originally, people really could not notice that Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey. So Jalen Ramsey got thrown out the game for how he was acting, and then it was found out after the fact through video that he clearly spit at him. And Jamar Chase said he didn't, and Jamar Chase has been suspended 1 game. Man, we too grown for this shit, dog. Like that's all I can think. We just too grown. Like I don't want to just say violence is cool. I got more respect for you, C's and Rose, if you just punch me in my shit than you just spit on me, dog. Like for you to just hop to her and just spit straight at me, like that just showed that you really don't have no respect for me because you spit on the ground, my nigga. like that's some shit you do. Like you really don't have no respect for me, man. And then for Jalen Ramsey, man, once again, I'm not promoting violence. Jalen Ramsey, you were supposed to crash out, dog. Like we were supposed to look up and you were supposed to be suspended 2-3 games because you were supposed to do what Andre Johnson did to Cortland Finnegan back in the day when Andre Johnson beat the fuck out of that light skinned nigga to let him know you better stop playing with me, ho. Like that's just me personally, man. But that's crazy that Jamar Chase did that, and I don't know if it's going to really do anything for Jamar Chase's image because he doesn't have the clean image of Justin Jefferson or the commercials and stuff like that. It's just something to be like, man, that's some kind of bitch ass nigga shit.
Probably should have been more than 1 game, man. I mean, what did they find him, like 15,000 or something?
Yeah, man, but you kind of
it went up.
Whole game check.
Yeah, you kind of had to do.
I mean, besides, you miss a game, but then they add.
Yeah, but you had to do the game though because that's what Jalen Carter got. Because remember, he spit on Dak before the game and he didn't get suspended. They counted him getting ejected before the game started as the suspension. So like that was kind of the precedent that was already set.
I mean, I guess it was frustration. I guess because he played like shit that game. It's one of them things, man.
But Jalen, he spit on you and you knew the hoe.
Back in the
you see what he did?
I know that's what I'm saying.
I don't lie. Back in the day,
crash out.
Had this been the Steelers, the old, it would have been a different story.
He brought. Y'all know that meme.
Back in the day, the old Steelers would have never even did no shit like that because back that time period, they was trying to kill each other.
Yeah, but you remember that meme was like, "Oh, I had him locked up."
Yeah,
I had him locked up.
That's the shit.
Yeah.
But you still mad at the game? Deal with that. Yeah, that kind of made you seem real soft, my nigga.
Yeah, he was like, when I said they said he punched Jamar Chase, and I looked at the interview. I said, when did he punch him?
Yeah, man.
When did he punch him?
He shoved him more. Like, that's what it really was. He was like, get off of me. So moving on.
I got something you could spit on.
So sticking with last week's games, though, man, I'm gonna start with the Jags Chargers. Even though it was such a blowout game, I feel like that was the most surprising game on the slate last week because I don't think nobody saw the Jags beating the Chargers with like 35 to 6, 35 to 9. I don't even know if the Chargers scored a fucking touchdown. That shit was just crazy. Then as you watching the box score, Trevor Lawrence wasn't even going crazy. It's not like he had like 300 yards and 3 full touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence had 1 passing touchdown. You had 210. The Brandon 210 had like 2 rushing touchdowns. Etienne had a rushing touchdown. Travis Etienne had a rushing touchdown. Trevor Lawrence had a rushing touchdown. And then this is do you know the craziest stat from this game? Justin Herbert had less than 90 yards passing in the NFL game. This is a player that people think is a top 7 quarterback in the league. He had 90 yards passing, and nobody think about when Lamar plays bad and how that gets covered, or when Jalen Hurts, doesn't even throw for 100 yards. Because remember when the Eagles beat the Chiefs early in the year, and Jalen didn't even have 100 yards passing, I want to say, and that became something that he talked about on TV. No one's even brought that up. That this nigga didn't even have 90 yards passing in the game. That was disgusting, bro. The Jags is just one of those teams that they're a mystery because they play good defense, they can run the ball, but it's just Trevor Lawrence, man. It's just when is he going to just get it together and just really just play the way that people thought he was going to play coming out of Clemson? Because they could make the playoffs, they could make some noise in the playoffs, because this wasn't no performance where it was like it was an accident. And to make matters even worse, like you thought Justin Herbert would have had some motivation, because if y'all remember, they played the Jags years ago in the playoffs when they had that big lead, and this same Trevor Lawrence and this Jags team came back and beat them in the playoffs. So, that was kind of interesting to see. And then the Ravens and Browns, Lamar struggled, and some people was talking about how he struggled in the game, but the Browns always play good defense against Lamar. I feel like people don't understand how good of a player Myles Garrett is and how much he impacts the game. Like, since Myles Garrett has been in the last 4 or 5 years, since he's been in his prime, the Browns isn't one of those pushover teams where you go in there, you go to Cleveland, and you just think to yourself, we're going to just put up 30, 40 points easily. Like, Myles Garrett is, to me, probably the best defensive player in the game, hands down, because he's that disruptive and he's that good, and he's one of the few defensive ends who can chase Lamar down. He got long arms. I don't think people actually have seen how Myles Garrett is built. He can actually bring Lamar down and frustrate him. But then, we all probably gonna mention how Shador got in the game, and people want to knock how Shador played so bad in the game. And I'll be honest, man, I don't know what people wanted him to do. Like, you have been treated like the 3rd string quarterback all season. You was the backup going in this game. The offensive line said
they wanted him to be Tom Brady. That's what they want him to be. Ain't no excuses.
The offensive line said, we haven't heard your cadence all year. The starter offensive line. We already acknowledged the Browns is a bad team, and the Ravens have a good defensive unit. And it's like people wanted him to go out there and just take bullshit and turn it into tuna salad. Like, hey, man, it is what it is, man. I'm going to say this right here. This just shows the dysfunction of the Browns organization, because y'all been treating Shador like y'all ain't want him, and he played like shit on national TV. So hopefully, he has a better performance this week. But that's the product that y'all put out there because of how y'all been treating Shador the whole offseason since y'all drafted him. It really just seems like you really should have just let the team draft him instead of just drafting him and treating him the way y'all been treating him.
And frustration, but at the same time, this is what they always fucking do. Steelers, Bengals. I'm not even gonna talk about the game. Ravens right on that ass. I don't know how this shit gonna be. This shit gonna be ugly. So, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I ain't got no games I want to discuss. I got one game I want to discuss. It was the 87-on-1s against 1 in a million. I was down 38 points. I had Dak left and I had Tucker left for the Raiders. Came back, scored him 38 points, and tied up the game. But the commissioner gave the other guy the win. Corruption. It was a tie. What happened to the tie? It's the NFL. They have ties in the NFL.
Oh, that's why you said that in the group chat. Yeah. Yeah, man, the home team wins if it's a tie. But I'm surprised nobody brought up that Broncos-Chiefs game. I'm shocked.
I watched some of it, but Pat Mahomes, he threw a pick where he shouldn't have threw the pick. So a lot of quarterbacks are doing dumb stuff this year, but We'll see. We'll see. They still got a chance to make it in the playoffs. We'll see what they do.
I mean, then they played at Denver too, so it's like, you know, they're probably gonna struggle.
I just thought somebody would have been like, yo, 9-2 Denver Broncos, probably gonna win a division. The first time that it's happening in Pat Mahomes' career. Like Denver looked like they're for real, man. You know, well, maybe y'all still not believing. Maybe that's why y'all just gloss. Maybe y'all like, it's Denver, bro. We'll see what happens with the playoffs.
Have you seen this shit? That's what we've been watching the season. This shit ain't no regular season. This bullshit.
So moving on to this week, I'm gonna pick up with the Chiefs though, man. They faced the Colts this week, who the Colts are like the Denver Broncos. They've surprised a lot of this season. They got, to me, for some reason, I'm hearing Matthew Stafford's name is the leading candidate for MVP. At some point in time, we just got to stop saying it's a quarterback award, because to me, the leading candidate for MVP should be Jonathan Taylor. You know, if he can carry this Colts team to a win against that Chiefs defense and Pat Mahomes, I feel like that will be his MVP moment. But for the Chiefs, Mahomes, you got to play better. Kelsey, you got to play better. Rashee Rice, you're back now. Worthy, you got to play like a first-round pick. The Chiefs got to show up this game because you're 5-5. You cannot be 5-6. Like we had the second half of the season where all these games become so much more important. They was on TV showing the tiebreakers. The Chiefs have none of the tiebreakers. The only team they have a tiebreaker with is the Ravens, but the Jags and all these other teams, they don't own the tiebreakers with those teams. So, like, Chiefs, man, you got to pick it up if you want to try to get back to the Super Bowl like y'all been doing the last couple of years. And then, man, you know, it was announced that Shador is going to make his starting debut this week against the Raiders. I'm looking forward to that game. The Raiders have been one of the worst defenses all year. You know, if Shador can play, we're gonna find out this game can he play. This is going like this. This is a nice soft spot for him to come in and start. Hopefully, they build a game plan around him because they announced he was going to be the starter of the day. So, you know, they should have been getting him ready. They should be getting him places he's comfortable with. We'll see how Shador looks, and I think he's going to look great. Do I think he's going to throw 400 yards? But I think he'll throw 200 yards, maybe a couple touchdowns, and he'll show some of the athletic ability he had at Colorado and some of the good decision-making he made at Colorado. And we're going to be talking like this is an NFL quarterback right here. He's going to look way better than he did last week. So this is going to be an interesting game. As far as the Raiders go, you chose Geno, man. Like Tom Brady, y'all should have drafted Shador, man, because Geno has been garbage this year, bro. Like, even with all the help, y'all got him Genty, y'all got Brock Bowers, and it's like, all right, Geno, you looking back like that. You looking like that nigga in New Jersey, man. That nigga that played for the Jets, bro. So that's all I got to say about that game.
Bengals, not Bengals, my bad. Steelers, Bears, Caleb Williams didn't play his best last week. I don't know. I actually don't fucking know this game. Like, these are two teams. I don't know which way it's fucking going next week with this one. I honestly don't fucking know. Like, I can't trust the Steelers to win this one. The Bears have had some good moments this season, but at the same fucking time, interceptions, Caleb Williams not playing his best. You know, it's one of them ones, and then I just want to see the matchup. Bucks, Rams sucked the last week. Bucks, I just like seeing them play, man. They doing some shit.
Well, the Rams won last week. They beat Seattle. They took the number one place.
But I don't know if you can call that a win, bro. Like, hey, man, Donald threw 4 picks and y'all only win by 2 points.
Yeah,
that puts a win that going away.
Yeah, that's how it happens. Though a win is a win. Last time I checked, and I think I'm taking a win from the Cowboys and Eagles. I'm gonna give them the Cowboys that win this week coming up. I think they might beat the Eagles. Eagles been suspect all year. They've been winning some close games, just like the Chiefs did all last year. We'll see. I think the Cowboys might pull it off this time. In another game,
big game for Dak.
And the Falcons and the Saints, you know what I'm saying? I said that they weren't going to win no more games, maybe except against the Saints and maybe against the Raiders coming up. So, the Jets coming up. So this is a chance for them to win. Kirk Cousins get to start. We'll see what he does.
Yeah, that shit's ugly, man. Because usually I'd be like, man, I want them to lose, but we ain't got our first round pick. So now it's like, man, I kind of want them to win just because I want to be, because I'm a hating ass nigga, and I don't want the Rams to get a top 10 pick. So, man, let's go Falcons, bro. Even though I'm not watching no more Falcons games this season, though. Final thoughts, y'all?
For the first time in a long time, U.S. didn't even qualify for the World Cup, so you will not see. It's in the States, so it's like, come on, host country normally supposed to be in there, but hey, maybe I can get some tickets. Maybe holla at me. They having games in Atlanta, so we'll see. It's going to be a good World Series coming up next year. And back shout out to Carolina, actually playing very fucking well. I forgot the rookie's name. I want to say Caleb. I got your name wrong, but shout out to you, man. Carolina's actually doing some shit this year with basketball, but I'm interested in some of those other teams. I got to start getting tapped in with college basketball. Usually that's my thing. I've just been out the loop so far this season, but I'll get back in.
Yeah, man. Tom Brady, we know that he retired a couple years ago. And can you imagine how if the NFL would have promoted Tom Brady's last Monday Night Football game or last Sunday Night Football game? Or like LeBron, whenever he announces his retirement tour, which hopefully he does that next year. Hopefully he doesn't just retire quietly like Tim Duncan. He announces before the season. How that last LeBron James Christmas Day game is going to be. Where this past week, if you're a wrestling fan, John Cena had his last Monday Night Raw match, his last Monday Night Raw appearance, before he officially retires at the end of this year. And as someone who's carried Dirty E as long as he has for the last 20 plus years, like Monday Night Raw has always been the flagship show for WWE. And it's always been the premier show where that's how they make their money. That's where the ratings will be at. Man, he's had over 544 matches he's won on Monday Night Raw. He's won multiple titles on Monday Night Raw. Like, his best match, in my opinion, on Monday Night Raw was against HBK after WrestleMania. So I shout out to, John Cena. And just last week, he became a Grand Slam champion, which is basically someone who has won each title in the business by winning the Intercontinental title against Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic Mysterio. So, yeah, shout out to John Cena and on his last Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, so my final thoughts is watching, like she said, some college basketball. Georgia Southern, they played Georgia Tech yesterday, and they only lost by 2 points. They almost pulled out the win. Their next game is up against Florida State. So we'll see if they can get the win against Florida State because they've been looking good. They're 3-2, but they look pretty good. So we'll see if they can keep up those numbers and see if they can win the Sun Belt and maybe make the tournament because basketball tournament's easier to make than football tournament.
Yeah, respect, hustle, and loyalty. Shout out to the Mamba.
Gotta.
Mr. DJ Rose, Verkeezy, and C's, welcome you to the No More Black Tears podcast.
Black tears that's heaven sent. Barack the first black president. I love my black skin. I love walking in black excellence. Black power, let's represent. All black, that's evident. For sure, MLK and Malcolm X both didn't die for the hell of it. Strap a seatbelt, go and sell our land. What makes you think that we would sell our land? We wouldn't sell our land. What makes you think that we would go ahead and try to sell out then? No more black tears, black on black kids. Love us as is, love with passion. Paying black bills, learning black skills, making black meals. Black is backing. Big shout out to Fred Hampton. I'm black and proud like I'm James Brown, but I ain't doing no acting. My people here from the motherland. This podcast now active.